Disability discrimination comes in a number of different forms. There is the failure to accommodate, where an employer refuses to take certain actions that would make it easier for a disabled person to do the work. There's also the individuals who just simply don't like having someone disabled around. What we see is people who are treated absolutely terribly just because they're sick or because they're different.
Another form of disability discrimination is what we call perceived disability discrimination. That's a situation where an employee suffered from a disability, has healed or is recovered, is able to go back to work, usually is very excited about going back to work, but there's something about the disability that the employer has a problem with. To illustrate the point, we represented a gentleman who suffered from very, very serious back and neck injuries. He went out for treatment. He returned to the workplace, fully able to resume all of his job duties. His doctor thought it was prudent for him to wear a neck collar for some short amount of time. And there was something about that neck collar that his supervisor could not handle. And he went after this poor guy with hostility, with abuse, with harassment. And I'll never forget, one of the outrageous things that he did would be the supervisor would get the mail and he wanted this employee to open the mail and sort it and organize it. And he would take the handful of mail and he would throw it on the floor so that our client would have to bend down on the floor to pick it up, which was A, humiliating, but B, further aggravated a condition which really had resolved. We also see this a lot with cancer survivors who've gone out for chemotherapy and have come back, and they are so happy to be useful and back in the workplace, but there's something about cancer that certain individuals have an issue with. Believe it or not, in 2019, there are some people that think cancer is contagious, and they do horrible, despicable things to get that person out of the workplace.
So someone who has a disability in the workplace is in many ways already facing a certain number of challenges that other people don't have. That just to be able to succeed in the workplace can be hard enough for everybody, and if you have a disability, that makes it harder. So if you are being targeted because you have a disability, that makes it even harder for you just to get through the day. And it can be really frightening, it can be isolating, and it can be really infuriating. For employees who need a little extra help or some type of an accommodation, employers are required to engage in what's called the interactive process. It's also called a cooperative dialogue, where the employer and the employee have to work together to find a way to help the employee succeed in the workplace. But if an employer refuses to engage in that cooperative dialogue or starts taking action against the employee because of their disability, that's when the law steps in.
Accommodations for disabilities come in all shapes, forms, and sizes, and are really specific to the individual who is requesting them. In that way, it can be as simple as moving your workstation or allowing you to bring your service animal to the workplace. It could also be an accommodation related to a piece of equipment that you might need or a piece of software for your computer. So, as broad as the disability spectrum can be, that's how broad the accommodations that go along with them can be. If you've been denied an accommodation that you've requested in your workplace, it's important that you speak with experienced employment counsel such as Schwartz, Perry, and Heller to see whether there is something that you can do about it.